The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max, Smackdown, Review.
And we are live to tape once again to the W2M Network with the Wrestling to the Max Smackdown Live Review for May 1st, 2018. Good evening, afternoon, whenever you're listening, everybody. My name is Harry Broadhurst. I am your host. Unfortunately, once again, due to family concerns, the co-hostess with the mostest, Miss Liz Puglisi, is unable to join us tonight. We hope to have her back next Tuesday when we have the fallout from Backlash. However, sitting in and joining me once again, the pain in my backside, the Ursula to my King Triton, Brandon Biskobing.
Oh, God. Now you're going Little Mermaid references? Are you going to go through the whole Disney-verse now?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Hey, at least Liz got on one podcast this week.
Indeed, you can listen to Brandon and Liz cover Monday Night Raw from last night here on the W2M Network, available wherever you listen to podcasts. iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Podbean, CastBox, and coming soon to Spotify, I hear.
Yep.
Oh, if it makes you feel any better, Brandon, I got a doozy lined up for the 205 Live review. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, lovely.
But anyways, it is time to get into this week's episode of Tuesday Night SmackDown Live. So with that being said, Brandon, what do you say we get into this here and
Let's
get started?
do it.
All right, so I assume you guys kind of talked about the Greatest Royal Rumble last night. I did not do the Raw reaction last night. Christine was in town, therefore I took the night off. Thought the show was actually relatively entertaining. It was basically a glorified house show, but it was still relatively entertaining. Nothing actively awful. I mean, Jinder Mahal's botchery of Whisper in the Wind aside. What the hell was that? But obviously the big talking point coming out of the Greatest Royal Rumble is Titus World Slide. And it's good to see that they're going to have some fun with it and not use it to beat into the ground of what an overbearing klutz Titus O'Neil has been for his entire career.
I just wish that they would have done a side-by-side comparison of this and his NXT fall.
I mean, a lot of people put them together for their collection videos. You know what my favorite thing about the whole thing was?
What?
Did you see the picture on Facebook of the Shockmaster action figure passing the torch to Titus O'Neil?
Oh, God, no, I did not.
I lost
great.
it. I lost it. It was hilarious.
That's great.
I was like, Okay, anywho. But that brings us to the SmackDown side of things, where the big announcement to start the show is, Shane McMahon ate crap once again in a Battle Royal, getting chokeslammed by Braun Strowman off the announce table and through the off of the top rope and through the American announce table. I would point out that there was a perfectly good Saudi Arabian announce table right there, but they used the American one instead.
Because they didn't want to throw the Saudis under the bus and put them through the fire on their first night.
Yeah, tell that to the Spanish announce team.
Well, the Spanish announce team had how many years to prepare for that?
Usually they weren't at ringside. It was only when they start getting placed at ringside when you knew they were screwed.
Oh yes, of course. But I mean, I doubt the first night they were at ringside they got their table destroyed.
See, I'm going to have to look that up because I would completely and 100% entirely bet that did happen.
It would be hilarious if they did. I actually want to know this now.
All right, we're going to have to look into this one.
Yes, we are.
We'll get that information to you next week here on the show.
Yes.
Anyway, The other thing to talk about coming out of the Greatest Royal Rumble on the SmackDown side is the fact that AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura went to a no contest, a double countout, as it were, and that due to the fact that tensions boiled over between the two gentlemen in Jeddah, I think was the name of the city we're in.
Yes.
SmackDown General Manageress Paige has announced that there will be a no disqualification match between AJ and Shinsuke at Backlash this Sunday. In the immortal words of Virgil, watch your balls.
Well, a proper call by Paige. That's all I gotta say about that.
If there's anybody out there that doesn't get that reference, consider yourself lucky. We opened SmackDown proper with Miz TV. And Miz has a guest. First of all, denouncing Daniel Bryan for no showing last week and therefore letting us know that Daniel Bryan will never be welcomed as a guest on Miz TV again. Good. Keep them separated. Make us wait for it. Make us wait until SummerSlam. That's when you go to this match.
Yep.
Do not give this match away immediately.
Oh, definitely.
Too many people. Put a slow build onto this. Make us wait for it. And then build it up as the huge event that it's going to be when Bryan finally gets his hands on Miz.
Yep.
However, Miz's guest tonight is the U.S. champion, one Jeffrey Hardy. Jeff comes out, and it is mentioned that he defends the U.S. title against Randy Orton at Backlash after Jinder Mahal completely faux bumped on a Whisper in the Wind. And Miz proceeds to ask Jeff if Miz is a better champion than Seth Rollins is. Jeff rather confusedly says, "This is the reason you brought me out here?" And says that if Miz was a better champion than Rollins, Miz would have won the title in the ladder match at the Greatest Royal Rumble, which, by the way, was my match of the night for the Greatest Royal Rumble.
Oh, definitely.
Miz tries to stir the pot between Jeff and Orton and introduces Orton as his second guest. Orton arrives early, cutting off Miz's introduction because, well, Orton don't play that. And we get a little bit of back and forth between Miz and Orton before Shelton Benjamin comes out and tries to make his presence in the U.S. title picture known as well. See, I'm okay with Shelton here. We'll talk more about that once we actually wrap up the segment, though. In the end, Orton attacks Benjamin, Miz attacks Orton, Jeff attacks Miz, and it's the Teddy Long special.
Playa.
Tag match, playa. As we come back from the commercial break into our opening contest. We'll get to that in a second. First of all, your thoughts on Miz TV.
I mean, I liked it. Again, it was a lot like what happened in the opening segment of Raw last night, where it was very predictable after about, after the first run-in, it was pretty predictable. It was like, oh, Shelton's coming out. Okay, I know exactly where this is going. I'm okay with it. I'm perfectly fine with it. I like how they're still kind of keeping, although I have a feeling that they're going to go AJ Shinsuke with this, with one of them turning heel as a result of losing this match. But I like them keeping this as a purely, respectable, competitive matchup between the two. In terms of Shelton, meh. I'm not a huge fan of this run that he's been having since he's come back. We'll see where they go with this, but, this was all just to set up the tag team match. And the one thing I will say that I get the reason why they didn't do it at this point, but please tell me I wasn't the only one that after they both cleared the ring that you were just waiting for Randy to hit an RKO out of nowhere on Bobby Roode.
You mean Jeff Hardy?
Yeah, yes, on Jeff Hardy. That's what I meant. You know what I mean.
Well, there was the tag team match first of all to come up.
Yes, I know this. That's the reason why they didn't do it until after the tag match. But I was still half expecting it.
Oh no, I fully expected us to have Hardy get hit with an RKO to go off of SmackDown here, and the following tag team match scheduled for one fall sees the aforementioned Randy and Jeffrey taking on The Miz and Shelton. During the match, Orton and Hardy actually get along pretty well as they pick up the win here when Jeff pins Shelton with the Swanton Bomb at about 12 minutes.
After an RKO.
After the match, well, yeah, RKO to Shelton and then a Swanton by Jeff.
Yep.
After the match, Jeff is stumbling to his feet, either injured or drunk, depending on your take on things.
Or both.
Possibly. And Orton hits the expected RKO on Jeff Hardy.
Yep.
RKO out of nowhere? No, we completely expected this one.
Nope. No. We saw this one coming from a mile away.
Yeah, the only one who didn't was poor Jeff, because he had a shocked look on his face as Orton leaped towards him like, son of a bitch. You would think Jeffrey would know better by now, but you would think wrong.
I like the brother Nero chances that we got throughout these segments.
How about your thoughts on the tag team match itself?
I mean, I liked it. It was a solid tag match. Kind of what you expect between these four, and it enhanced both of these guys leading into their U.S. title match. And Randy got to hit his RKO out of nowhere, which everyone expected. So it wasn't really an RKO out of nowhere. And, this leads into reverse momentum theorem.
We'll talk about that here in a little bit when we do our predictions for the pay-per-view. Let's not go away giving away predictions yet. Let's instead go back to the show. Let's go back to the show where Renee Young tries to interview the Double Iconics, because that makes freaking sense with the spelling of that name.
Oh,
whatever.
God.
Anywho, apparently they wear pink on Wednesdays and you're not cool enough to sit at their table because they boot Renee from the picture. Please tell me you get that joke.
Oh, I do, but I'm not even going to glorify it with the response.
Whatever. And dismiss her from the interview, introducing Carmella themselves.
Dismissed.
Carmella proceeds to talk a little bit of smack and then moonwalk out of the picture and then moonwalk right back, to which Billy gets in a pretty funny line of, hey, there she goes again. More coverage of the Greatest Royal Rumble event follows, where Daniel Bryan's chest looks like something you'd see on a cadaver.
That was great. All of those shots were just great.
Jesus, man. Consult a doctor. And he did, and they said, you don't get to wrestle tonight.
Denied.
And Canada gets screwed.
Yep.
Just remember, Montreal screwed Montreal. Anywho, the bar backstage, and they run into the New Day. The New Day tried to present them with a gift of pancakes. The bar refuses to eat the pancakes and throws them away. Sheamus then issues a challenge, to which Big E jumps up in his face and says, "Oh, you done picked the wrong fool, sucker." But instead it's revealed that Sheamus is challenging Xavier Woods instead, because apparently Sheamus is a gigantic biatch.
Well, of course. What do you expect? They're a heel tag team now.
That sets up a tag team match, or a singles match for a little bit later on in the show. We'll get to that when we get to it. Rusev Day backstage conversating when Lana makes her appearance. Apparently, she's referring to Aiden English as the man holding back Rusev. Swear to God, if they break up Rusev Day already, I'm going to be pissed.
I'm calling it right now. It's going to happen. I said when Rusev Day first started that this was going to be a very short length thing, and that it was not going to create anything because Vince doesn't care what the fans think. And it's going to happen. I'm calling it.
Big Cass promo follows things up here as he arrives to the crowd in Montreal and says that he's from New York City, therefore he thinks he's better than everybody there because he knows he's better than everybody there. He's a superstar, and when you think superstar, you think somebody Cass's size with his intellect and his ability to cut a promo, unlike me having this conversation right now, because apparently I suck. but instead says that you think of somebody like him who's 7 foot tall and looks good on a corporate ladder, looks good on a corporate flyer, not somebody the size of Daniel Bryan who looks like he should be paying for a ticket. He then challenges Daniel Bryan to a fight right now after the announcers had already stated that Daniel Bryan was not medically cleared, and instead we get, okay, is midget still considered passe? Can I say midget?
No, you can say it. Was I the only one who thought that was Hornswoggle?
Oh, 100% thought that was Hornswoggle.
Yeah.
After he showed up at the Greatest Royal Rumble, completely thought that was Swoggle.
Yeah,
agreed.
So did I.
However, instead, after Lord Little Person, that's a Lord Little book reference for those that don't understand where I'm going with that. I don't know how to say this and still be politically correct because the word I want to use is midget, and I don't think that's politically correct.
Just say it. I don't think it really matters.
If you have any hate mail, send it to s.garmer@gmail.com. Midget Daniel Bryan comes out, and Cass starts making a series of short jokes. Bryan attacks him with kicks, which Cass doesn't sell and continues to make more puns. And then introduces Daniel Bryan as I want to say a local actor or a local wrestler or whatever he called him. I forget the name.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he is, but, you know.
And then proceeds to kick him square in the face. Where at, Brandon?
In the nuts.
In the face.
Okay, fine.
It's a bit. You completely screwed up the bit. I say where at, and you say in the face.
In the face. There we go.
Stop, rewind, edit. Cass then turns towards the little person and kicks him in the face. Where did he kick him, Brandon?
In the face.
Hey, we got it to work that time. All right. Cass proceeds to jump on the poor little person. The referees arrive to pull him off, and that's the end of the segment here. Really? We're using midget abuse as a storyline advancement in 2017?
I mean, look at how they've been using Big Cass lately. It's Vince McMahon's wet dream.
It's freaking stupid is what it is.
I agree, but, you know, this is what Vince wants.
Between this segment here and then the fun with Photoshop that we got on Raw with Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy, this is Vince 101, though. This is the kind of bullshit that Vince does on a regular basis.
I know this. That's what I'm saying.
That just makes you sit back and go, what the fuck?
Let me just say real quick, I know I'm sure I'm in the minority overall, but really, Vince, please don't make Cass start off a segment in a way that I have to like him.
What do you mean by that?
Because of him talking about how, like, New York is the greatest city in the world and we're better than everyone else.
You live in South Carolina, homie. Shut up.
Now? New York is still the greatest city in the world.
For me to poop on?
Nope.
Okay, I'm getting sued.
3-0? 3-0?
What are you talking about?
Oh, you know exactly what, or 2-0, excuse me, 2-0. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about, so we're going to go ahead and move on.
Oh, yes, you do.
AJ Nakamura is demanding an apology from. Did I just say AJ Nakamura?
Yes, you did.
Shinsuke Nakamura is demanding an apology from AJ Styles. Styles is introduced by Renee Young and comes out to the ring and talks about the fact that it's basically been AJ getting hit in the balls by Shinsuke this entire time ever since WrestleMania. Well, at the Greatest Royal Rumble last Friday in Jeddah, AJ had enough of Shinsuke's shit and proceeded to open a can of whoop ass. They ended up brawling all around ringside. Nakamura escapes through the ring, and then AJ comes leaping out of the ring at him with a phenomenal forearm to lay him out and leave everybody happy. Styles then proceeds to say that this Sunday it'll be different because there are no rules, and anything that Shinsuke can do, AJ can do as well. That is when AJ Styles is interrupted by Samoa Joe, and I about lose my crap. Because if you would have told me in 2007 that AJ Styles and Samoa Joe would potentially main event a WWE pay-per-view for the WWE Heavyweight Championship, I would have called you a goddamn liar. There is a very real possibility at some point in 2018 that AJ Styles and Samoa Joe could face off on a WWE pay-per-view for the WWE Championship.
Oh, yes.
What kind of goddamn bizarro world are we living in?
The crazier thing is the fact that while this is happening, the companies that they left, well, not so much that specific company that they left, but the indies just in general are just getting bigger and bigger every day.
I actually have an independent show getting ready to be watched as soon as we're done here tonight. I'm going to catch up with Shimmer 100.
I'm still a little granted, I'm not as far behind as I was, but I still need to watch most of the Road to Wrestling Dontaku shows.
Yeah, I'm still back at Honor Rising for New Japan. I'm taking it slow.
Oh, okay. You're even further behind than I am.
Anywho, Samoa Joe then says that it doesn't matter this Sunday who comes out of the match as the champion. Once Joe puts Roman to sleep again, he's coming after whoever wins, and he's coming after the WWE Championship. Nakamura's remixed theme song hits in the arena. Joe squares up because he's always wanting to fight somebody. And instead, AJ once again gets hit in the balls. Where at, Brandon?
In the balls.
In the balls. As Larry described it.
Kick you square in the nuts.
Or as Larry describes it, Captain Cock Punch strikes again. Views and opinions are those of Larry Zonka of Borderline Mania and do not necessarily reflect those. Yes, they do. That's a great nickname.
Yes, it does. Yes. Yes, indeed.
All right, so they didn't really go, pardon the pun, balls to the wall at WrestleMania. See what I did there?
Oh, yes. Yes, I did.
But do you think that this is going to be the Styles and Nakamura match that most people were expecting come the Showcase of the Immortals?
No, absolutely not, especially considering the stipulation.
See, I think that having the stipulation that they have actually opens them up to the opportunity to do more stuff with the match than they would.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree. But in terms of what everyone expected at Mania, it is absolutely not going to be that, technical masterpiece 5-star match that you would have gotten at Mania.
That's fair. Backstage, Becky Lynch is losing her snuffleupagus about costing Asuka her first match on SmackDown. Asuka says not to worry about it. Charlotte comes in and agrees. It is a 6-woman tag team match scheduled for one fall for the main event a little bit later on in the show. That said, our next contest, scheduled for one fall, is the aforementioned Sheamus versus Xavier Woods match. Paige is the general manager on SmackDown, and Xavier Woods just won a match. I feel violated. I feel very, very violated.
Hey, at least she's not using her storyline favoritism. We'll talk about that later.
That's next, actually. But, Xavier Woods actually picks up the win here, rolling up Sheamus as he comes back into the ring at about 7 minutes and 40 seconds here. Definitely going to be setting up the road for New Day versus Cesaro and Sheamus.
Oh,
Probably in May, I would assume, at the May pay-per-view would be the build towards this, since there's not really enough time left to add this towards the Backlash card.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think there would be a May pay-per-view, because wouldn't this technically be considered the May pay-per-view?
So what are you thinking? Oh, well, they're not going to
Extreme
be.
Rules
No,
in
that's in
June?
July. June is
Or
that's
June is Money
July,
in the Bank. Excuse me.
and I don't see that happening because I feel like Cesaro and or Sheamus maybe both will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah, we'll see about that. We'll see where
So
they go with that, considering it's going to be dual branded now.
I feel like there should be. So wait, it's going to be open to members on both brands. So what is it, like an 8-person ladder match for each?
I have a feeling, yeah.
That or they're going to do two men's Money in the Bank ladder matches, one for each brand.
But then that would mean, considering the precedent, that they'd have to do 2 women's Money in the Bank ladder matches then.
They don't have enough women to do 2 women's Money in the Bank ladder
I
matches.
agree with you, but, I mean, unless they're going to do 3 Money in the Bank ladder matches in one night.
Well, it is the Money in the Bank ladder match pay-per-view, so why not? Screw it. Anywho.
We'll see.
So do you think this is building up towards a tag team match on SmackDown then? Since
Definitely.
The next potential blow-off point wouldn't be until Extreme Rules in Pittsburgh in June or in July, which I will be at.
I definitely think that this is going to blow off in some way at some point, whether it's on a SmackDown or they wait until Extreme Rules or what have you. Yeah, this is definitely their feud moving forward. It's going to be New Day versus The Bar.
All right, speaking of Paige playing favoritism there, we see Paige, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville meet up here. And then Sonya and Mandy think that Paige wanted to see them in order to give one of them a title shot. Instead, Paige wanted to see them to let them know that Mandy Rose is taking on Becky Lynch next week on SmackDown. Absolution is dead. They need to get rid of the t-shirts. They will soon be on clearance on WWEshop.com. Really nothing to add to that, is there?
I'm just absolutely shocked because as soon as they got traded to SmackDown, I was like, oh, here we go. They're gonna get that, that special treatment. But I guess they're so hell-bent on having Paige as a face general manager that this is the only way they can do it.
Well, I think eventually once Shane's back, we might see more of her leaning towards her friends.
This would have been the perfect opportunity with her, being like, hey, Shane isn't here, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, but maybe it's to make everybody think that she's going to be a good person, and then whammo, swerve.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes, but,
Much to your chagrin, another vignette is shown for Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. They arrive soon. When? We don't know. They won't tell us. Nana boo-boo.
I'm even more disappointed because we had to get a vignette of them coming back, but yet we don't get one for the better NXT call-up to SmackDown.
Huh?
Oh, you know exactly who I'm talking about.
No, I really don't. I'm confused right now.
A certain version of Chaos.
Oh, you mean Sanity.
Exactly.
See, I think Sanity shows up at Backlash.
Oh, okay. You think they're a surprise?
Keep them off television tonight and then have them debut at Backlash.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Speaking of Backlash, the commentary team hypes the show, going through the card. We'll do that in just a little bit after we finish up reviewing SmackDown.
Yep.
Speaking of which, our main event, scheduled for one fall, is because you couldn't go to Saudi Arabia. Here's another main event for the ladies. As it is a 6-woman tag team match, the team of ABC, Asuka, Becky, and Charlotte, takes on Carmella, Billie Kay, and Peyton Royce, the double Iconics. I guess you could call them Iconic Money.
Or you could call them Fabulous Iconics.
Well, if there is one word to describe this team, it would be F-A-B-U-L. Never mind.
No. Just no.
Liz would have put that over. Anyway.
I know this, but you don't have Liz tonight.
I don't. 13 and a half minutes of television time, not counting the break. Asuka, Becky, and Charlotte pick up the win when Asuka taps Peyton Royce with the Asuka lock.
Yay!
Okay, I'm torn here. Like, I understand that it's Asuka, and you can't really beat Asuka in a single, have her eat the fall in a match yet, just because the only person to have a fall on her is Charlotte, and until you do something more with Asuka and Charlotte to blow that off, then there needs to be something further down that road, and you kind of have to protect Asuka to get back to that match again. But I don't know how I feel about the iconic duo taking losses two out of their first three weeks on SmackDown. Granted, it was in the main event of this week's episode of SmackDown, and that is an impressive feat for a team just called up from NXT. But it's like they're trying to make Billy Kay and Peyton Royce the new variation of SmackDown's Riot Squad of the interchangeable women's team. You know?
Well, That's the thing. Until they create a tag team title for the women, the iconic duo will always be seen as, oh, they're a team, but, individually they suck. So, And, I mean, think about it. On NXT even, they were never really used as legitimate threats. They were just used as nuisance.
They're laid cool, but better workers.
Pretty much.
Surprise you to see Asuka pick up the win here? Do you think they're setting up for something with Asuka getting the win in this match?
Not at all, because you had to have Asuka win. Because otherwise, all of the fans, especially a lot of the Asuka fans, myself included, that if she would have lost tonight, especially if she would have ate the pin tonight, it would have been like, oh, it's over now. This is Vince McMahon basically saying screw you to everyone and, burying Asuka. This is the only way they could have saved her.
Allow me to counterpoint that by saying, would it have surprised you to see Becky get the win in this match rather than Asuka in order to kind of have Becky get a little bit of redemption for losing the tag match last week?
That would have surprised me a little bit more. But I would have been okay. I mean, I wouldn't have complained about it at all, definitely. But, it would have surprised me a little bit more than Asuka getting the win. Definitely.
And that puts an official nice little tidy bow on SmackDown. Scale of 1 to 10. Brandon, where do you fall?
I'm going to give this a 6.5. They did. I mean, a lot of the matches going into Backlash are interbrand matches, so they can't really do that much in terms of prepping, in terms of pushing them into Sunday. But, it wasn't a bad show, but it wasn't a great show either.
Yeah, I fall somewhere around that 6.5 level as well. Like you said, there's only so much you can do with what was made before the Superstar Shakeup still taking precedence. And it'll be interesting to see starting next Monday how the brands kind of come into their own now that there's going to be some separation in the two.
Oh, yeah. Even though I don't know, like I said before, I still don't know how much separation there's really going to be now with them all being dual-branded shows.
One-word review, Brandon.
Honestly, boring. There wasn't really much on this show.
And yet you gave it a 6.5?
I was being generous. That's still a D.
Not by wrestling score standards.
True.
I'm going to go with enthusiastic, and specifically for the crowd. The crowd was definitely entertained throughout this show, and they were into the show, which is something that I really enjoy seeing because, as a fan, it makes me more emotionally invested in the show. When you can tell the fans are having a good time watching the product, then you tend to have a better time watching it yourself. When you can tell the fans aren't into anything going on, then you kind of tend to zone out yourself.
Not nearly as enthused as they were from last night, though.
I would agree with that to an extent, but at the same time, it's the second show in the same building in 48 hours.
Well, also, you didn't have the hometown crowd pop that you got with KO and Sammy.
including Kevin's dad going absolutely ape crap at ringside, which is hilarious.
Oh God, I didn't see that.
It's pretty funny. There's a video that got posted by Brian the Guppy on Twitter. If you search for it, you can find it. You'll see Kevin Owens, his dad, going crazy for him because it's one of the first times he's ever seen his son in the big arena in his hometown.
Oh, that's great. I gotta see that.
All right, well, you can search for that in the downtime between the finish of this show and the start of our next one. But first, we got some predictions to make, Brandon.
Let's do it.
It is currently an 8-match card for Backlash. I'm sure there'll be a nice match added for the pre-show. I'm sure there probably might be a 10th match added in order to fill out the gap because as of this Sunday's Backlash pay-per-view, all WWE events going forward are 4-hour pay-per-views.
Okay.
We start at 6 o'clock with the pre-show. Main show starts at 7. Show goes off the air at 11.
Yep.
Son of a bitch. I love wrestling, but you're really testing my limits. All right, so shall we get to the matches from Raw specifically first? Because you guys already kind of covered them on the Raw review last night.
Yep, let's do it. If you want to hear my bigger predictions for these matches, check out the Raw review from last night on W2M Network.
All right, so the only 2 specifically Raw matches that I actually see are the tag match and the women's title match. Which ones did you guys cover on Raw last night?
We covered both of those, and I think we covered the
IC title match, maybe?
Yeah.
Because
and I think we did also cover the Roman Roman Joe match. But I'll mention that just in case.
Let's start with Strowman and Lashley against Owens and Zayn here. I'm going to pick Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn here because I think something happens between Strowman and Lashley which sets up Strowman's next feud. Bobby Lashley has done both jack and squat since his return to the WWE. Mm-hmm. This is the opportunity to give Lashley something of value to do, and feuding with Braun Strowman might be the thing to do that there. Therefore, I'm going to give Kevin and Sami the win here to A, move them further up into the main event scene on Monday Night Raw, and B, give Braun Strowman his next program.
I think because I was looking at an old thing, I don't think we actually mentioned this match. But so let me go into a full description just in case. I kind of agree with you. But at the same time, with how much they're pushing both Strowman and Lashley, I feel like they would give them a win. This is a very tough call. This is a very tough call because, like, even if there's some dissension between the two, I still feel like individually they're strong enough to beat KO and Sami. I think I do have to agree with you, though. I think somehow Kevin and Sami pull out the win, and this leads to Strowman and Lashley's next feud against each other. But I think if Strowman and Lashley do end up winning this match, that this maybe sets up something for the tag team division where, because they don't have anything distinctive right now on a singles level for either of them, because the Universal title is still strung up on Lesnar and they're still focused on Lesnar Reigns, that this may give them something for the interim until SummerSlam and moving forward.
I believe the word you're looking for is the Universal title is still being held hostage.
Precisely.
The Raw Women's title match sees Nia Jax defend against Alexa Bliss. I can think of 2 reasons why Alexa should win.
What's that?
Check Instagram, homie.
I don't want it.
Anywho, in all sincerity, though, Nia's done nothing as women's champion. It's cool that she gets the moment. It's cool that the fans kind of half-heartedly chanted, "You did." No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. She never has. She's still the same woman who hurt Bayley. Still the same woman who almost hurt Charlotte. Nope. Don't buy it. Alexa has been carrying the Raw Women's Division. She gets the title back on Sunday.
You want to hear my thoughts?
Well, sure, go ahead.
All you need to know is one word. Squash.
For Alexa? I don't know if it's a squash.
No.
For Alexa,
No. For Nia. This is the end to this. Firmly, especially with how WWE has been pushing this whole, and especially after this whole backlash on the Saudi thing, this is going to be the talking point that they're going to use to say, we're pro women's rights, we're pro anti-bullying.
But Nia is a bully.
No, you're not.
She kept calling Alexa short.
Well, yeah, because she is short.
Okay, and Nia is, how do I put this politely, chubby.
Yeah, okay. But, and those things, especially considering Alexa's a heel right now, I take a lot of what Alexa says with a grain of salt.
Whatever, Alexa wins.
No, false. Especially after she finally got her side plates this week. There's no way that they're gonna give her side plates to just to
seriously,
switch them back
what the
again.
hell took them so long to give her side plates?
I agree, but just showing that just says, hey, she's keeping it.
I see title is on the line when Seth Rollins defends against The Miz. See, if there was a match that could move the U.S. title back over to Monday Night Raw, I might think Miz has a snowball's chance in hell here. There isn't, he doesn't, Seth Rollins retains.
Yep. Oh, yes. Completely agree. We basically said as much last night when we didn't even know if there was going to be a U.S. title match.
Well, Jeff versus Randy was at it last week, but thanks for playing.
Well, we didn't see that earlier.
Then the site you were looking at for the pay-per-view card sucked because the tag match was announced during Raw as well.
Yes.
Finally, from the Raw side of things, it is Roman Reigns taking on Samoa Joe. And as much as I would love to see Samoa Joe get a win here, because you could do so much with it here, you could have Roman continue with his conspiracy theory. You can have Joe parlay it into a main event SmackDown run. LOL, Roman wins.
Honestly, especially with how they've been using him recently, of late, well, how they've been using both of them of late, I have a feeling that this isn't going to end cleanly.
Okay, well, much though I appreciate your thought there, I'm going to need you not to straddle the fence.
I think Joe wins by shenanigans.
Does a certain Universal Champion get involved?
Potentially, or, another referee mistake. Maybe he misses a low blow, or, something of that ilk.
Okay, so far there have been 4 matches here, and we've agreed on 2 and disagreed on 2.
Yep.
And you've taken... This is the first match you've taken the heel to win. No, wait, you took Kevin and Sami. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, we go to the first SmackDown exclusive match. That would be Daniel Bryan taking on Big Cass. Much though I'd love to see Bryan just steamroll Cass here, they clearly see something in Cass. And I will say this much in regards to Cass. Cass's mic work since he's come back to the main roster has been excellent. Mm-hmm. The segment he had tonight was stupid, but the promo that he cut before the segment was strong enough on its own. The promo that he cut on last week's episode of SmackDown was awesome. It was the best Cass has ever sounded in the WWE. This screams a Vince McMahon thing to do here to give Cass the win here, does it not?
It does, and while I hate to say it, Vince is stupid enough to do it. Because I'm just going to say, if he does this, it's going to create absolutely nuclear go-away X-Pac heat to Cass. And not just Cass, but it is going to create another... unless this is their plan to basically start the Bryan train all over again in the same way they did originally, it's going to create the same sort of perception as it did last time, and rightfully so, of, oh, Bryan's gonna get buried, they're taking the big guy over the small guy because that is Vince's wet dream, and, you're just gonna create a lot of backlash.
Backlash, you say?
Yes, I know. The irony is real. But, do I think it'll happen? Part of me agrees with you that, like, this is totally a Vince McMahon type of thing to do. But at the same time, I would think and hope that he's learned from his mistakes in the past. And especially with how Reigns has been used lately, maybe he actually has. And Bryan gets the win here. Or at least it doesn't end in a definitive finish. So this advances. Especially with Joe kind of staking his claim towards the towards the WWE title. I don't think this ends cleanly.
All right, we got to pick up the pace here. We're approaching almost the 50-minute mark, so let's go ahead and get through these last three matches. Carmella and Charlotte Flair. Carmella retains. The reason I say Carmella retains is because the entire build-up toward the return match here has been that Carmella is not, that Charlotte is way better than Carmella. Carmella winning the title was a fluke. In order to dispel that notion, Carmella has to pick up a win and have a couple of successful title defenses. You can have Charlotte come back and get the win back down the road. You can have Charlotte come back and tie Trish Stratus's record, break a record 7 title reigns down the road. But this is not going to be the show where it happens. I think the Princess of Staten Island keeps the title.
Honestly, while I doubt it will actually happen, what I would love to see them do with this is exactly what I've been talking about for years now, with a smarmy heel type character like Carmella. Have her basically, say, oh, you're not worthy of, challenging me, and just walk away and lose by DQ, or lose by countout, but still retain the title. And then continue this up until Hell in a Cell, where she's locked in there with Charlotte, and she has nowhere to run.
Well, except for the fact that Hell in a Cell is in October, and I have no interest to see these two feuding for 6 months.
Or do it until, like, SummerSlam, and have them do some sort of, like, no DQ, or some sort of stipulation match, where she's, she can't escape. False count anywhere, something like that.
Jeff Hardy defends the U.S. I need an official prediction.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think I agree with you. Carmella's going to figure out some way of retaining.
Jeff Hardy defends the U.S. title against Randy Orton. And I think Jeff retains here because Jeff just got the U.S. title. Orton's not really doing anything that set the world on fire. And there are more possibilities for Jeff as the U.S. champion than there are for Orton as the U.S. champion. Plus, I kind of want to see Jeff Hardy and Miz feud over the U.S. title, so that way Miz can be the U.S. champion when his program with Bryan happens.
While I agree with you in principle, we said the same exact thing about Baron Corbin and Bobby Roode. And both cases, Orton won the title back very quickly.
That's fair.
So, I would not at all be surprised if Orton won this on Sunday. But I think they do have enough faith now in Jeff, after all the years that he's been around, that I think he will retain.
All right, and finally, the last match to discuss is the no disqualification SmackDown title match as AJ Styles defends against Shinsuke Nakamura. To me, the most poetic finish to this match would be Shinsuke goes for a low blow. AJ counters it, hits Shinsuke with one of his own, and the Styles Clash finishes this off. AJ retains the title.
While I have a feeling that you're probably right, I hope you're wrong because, after all of this work and everything, and after all the hype and everything, I don't want all of the Shinsuke haters to basically be justified by, all of this work going for nothing. Because this has to be the end of it, I would assume, unless there's some sort of shenanigans. And even then, if this were in September, it would be one thing, but, like you said before with Carmella and Charlotte, where are you gonna go with this in the current time frame, in terms of a match type or anything like that? I think Shinsuke has to win here. Because if he doesn't, then where do you go from there with him?
Shinsuke goes back to the mid-card on SmackDown and then wins Money in the Bank and eventually challenges for the title with that.
That could work, but then it's kind of a Bray situation where no one will take him seriously.
Oh, see, I think Shinsuke has more firepower behind him now that he's a heel. I think he's going to be much more comfortable, especially if we've seen any indication of that on his promos over the previous couple of weeks. He didn't say anything tonight. He just hit AJ in the balls. But the last couple of weeks where he's had the backstage segments with Renee Young, he's definitely seemed more comfortable as a heel than he does as a babyface.
Oh, no, I agree with that, but I'm just thinking in terms of, a lot of the more casual fans have been saying, oh, he doesn't have charisma, he's basically just, he's basically just an in-ring guy, and him losing all these matches doesn't exactly help those of us who like Shinsuke defending him.
And that's going to officially wrap up our predictions for the Backlash pay-per-view. It happens this Sunday night. Brandon, are we going to do something for this pay-per-view or what?
We'll have to talk to Sean about that. More than likely, yes.
I know I'm going to be home. I know Christine's not in town, so I'll be free to do something if the timing works out.
Yep.
But we'll find out more about that. You know what I can tell people is coming up with us this week?
The kickoff!
Well, first, you can listen to us on the 205 Live review coming up next. Here,
okay.
As soon as we're done putting a wrap on this, we'll have the 205 Live review here for Wrestling to the Max. In addition, the W2M Network presents The Kickoff. Tomorrow night here at 9:30 p.m., we will be recording. It should be uploaded somewhere around 11:30ish. It is our NFL Draft Review special. We talk about the biggest winners and losers, the biggest reaches and steals of the draft. We talk about what we're kind of expecting from the rest of the pending offseason, as well as what our hopes are going forward towards NFL training camps here. This will be the last episode of The Kickoff until we return for our college football preview spectacular in late July, early August. We have to finalize a date and knock that out. Odds are it'll probably be August because the last week of July I'm out of town. So, there's the kickoff. There's 205 Live. There's this episode of Smackdown Live that you're listening to. Brandon will be back with NXT on Thursday.
Yep.
Who's co-hosting, Brandon?
You?
Me? This is a surprise to me because I've heard nothing of this.
Well, I mean, I'm only assuming because I don't know who is hosting as of right now.
Well, I guess you'll get to tune in Thursday and find out just like the rest of us.
Yep.
So, for our co-hostess with the most dismissed Liz Puglisi, he's Brandon Biskobing. I'm Harry Broadhurst. Thanking you for listening to the Wrestling to the Max Smackdown Live review for May 1st, 2018. We'll be back shortly with 205 Live. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next Tuesday night. Enjoy Backlash. We'll have our discussion with that for you guys Sunday night as well. Thanks for listening, everyone.